Hey, hi, hello, how are you? This is another week of Reddit Questions from Overwatch University, top upvoted of the week. Here we go. First question is, when people say to die on the cart, should I still try to live as long as possible on the cart? On defense, I understand that often it's better to just die on cart instead of trying to back out of the fight. But should I use my cooldowns to try to live as long as possible on cart before I die? Is there any disadvantage to like lamp and shift myself on Baptiste before I die to stall the cart, even if it does take longer for me to group up with my team for the next fight? This is actually a bit of a nuanced question. It actually depends on the context, but I think with the wave respawn change that they added in season 12, where if you die fast, you can catch a teammate's wave and group up together, it might be better to actually just die a little quicker and come back for the fight. When I say that's context dependent, maybe it's overtime, you need to stall for a little bit of time because they're going to reach a certain threshold of the payload because it's overtime and whatnot. That's that situation. But generally they say when they say die on cart, it basically stalls the payload and then you just die there instead of trying to run away and have a risk of staggering yourself, because that would be infinitely worse. If you know it's a lost fight, die on the cart, so you stall them, dead, wave respawn. Don't try to run away and then a tracer actually chases you and then you're dead for another 12. You know, you buy like 7 to 10 seconds of running away and die anyways. That's very, very bad. So yeah. How the hell do I position with Brigitte? Hey all, I'm very new to Brig. Played her a few games and she seems super fun. One question though, how the hell do I position as her? I think I'm supposed to be in the front line wherever the fight is happening, but I don't want to be so deep that I just die over and over. I also noticed that I tend to go DPS mode whenever I play her and end up going like 24 and 8 with 7.1k healing. Is that good, or do I need to relax with my playstyle? Brig should not be in the front line. In a lot of cases, you will get punished very easily because she is a lot squishier in Overwatch 2. In general, you're supposed to play backline and protect your backline from flankers and dive heroes such as Winston, Diva, Tracers, Genjis. Like in high levels, Brig is often paired with Ana and you're just stuck to her at the hip. Now, of course, if the enemy team is running everything but dive, you can kind of play in the middle, right? If they're playing long range poke, Sigma, Ashe, Hanzo, and there's nobody that's jumping your backline, there's zero reason to stick back there because all you're doing is just throwing heal packs. You're never in range to whip shot anything. So in those cases, if you're going to play Brig anyways, again, Brig at the high levels is situational to play protector and counter some of the flankers and divers. But if you're going to force her, especially in the metal ranks where it doesn't matter as much, you can play around the middle area. I wouldn't play front line unless you're going in and cleaning up and you know you can't get punished, excuse me. You play around the mid range where you're going to be in range of that whip shot. One thing I like to do is pretend the whip shot is a roadhog hook if you're not good at hitting it, and having a high whip shot accuracy, especially because it's like a 4 or 5 second cooldown, is very, very good. It always deters them, always pumps you with the Inspire passive, and anybody, if you're playing in the mid, in that aura will get that healing over time. Remember, Brig's aura or passive only activates if somebody's in that range. When you hit the whip shot, they can't retroactively walk into your Brig range and get the passive healing in that regard. So around there, but yeah, middle if there's no dive, backline and protector if there is dive, and then front only if you're cleaning up or you 100% know you're safe to swing, and that'll come with time and experience to understand that. Winston is crazy strong right now. How can I beat him? I'm in plat ranks. Winton dominates me almost every time. There used to be a time where Diva was his counter and could chase him around the map and deny his value, but that isn't effective at all at the moment unless I just suck, and that's still the strat. Let me answer that first. No, it's not the strat anymore. Winston is very good because Winston ignores armor damage reduction properties, and armor got buffed a lot, so like indirectly Winston Diva is pretty neutral now. Anyways, myself, I'm not super good with Winston. I'm practicing quick play, but I don't fully understand his kit like I do with my favorite tanks, Ryan, Zarya, Diva, Sigma. What are my fellow metal ranks doing in this Winton dominated meta? Okay, you said you're not good with Winton, you're practicing, but I don't understand his kit. So the second part of this question, the biggest part of Winston's value is holding the space with his bubble. The worst thing you can do as Winston is not use natural cover, walk out in the open before you dive anything, take like 200 damage, panic, and put your bubble right in the middle of the open. That does nothing for your team, and that kills your entire positioning and rotations for like whatever time the bubble's on cooldown, 12 seconds. That's the worst thing. The best thing you do is natural cover as long as you can until you find an opening where you want to jump and jump on somebody and deny them and close them with the bubble to either protect you or deny them. That's the best thing you can do, and that's the way you do it as Winston, and hopefully there's a Tracer in your team or a Sombra who can follow up and dive, or you hold that space as long as you can, then jump out, rinse and repeat till you have primal rage. That's it. Now, in terms of beating the Winston, like I just said, bubble is his best tool. You have to shoot his bubble. Whatever hero you're on, if you break that bubble, Winston is caught in no man's land in the open and can get punished very, very quickly. That's what you got to do. If you pressure him a little bit and he panics and bubbles right there, perfect. You did your job. Remember, that's what you're not supposed to do when you're the Winston player. Try to do that to the Winston where you force him in a bad spot where he has to bubble there. Then he no longer can separate the backline supports. He can't separate the Ana with the bubble or anything like that. Pressure, pressure, pressure Winston. Break bubble as soon as you can, depending on the hero you're playing, of course. And if you are, it depends on the tank. There are some tanks that do pretty well on Winston where you are supposed to turn around and burst his bubble, like Mauga, Queen as well, if you can keep a knife on him and pull him back. But there are some cases where you're supposed to just ignore him if he's going to jump over you. Like if you're playing a Rhine into Winston, the Winston jumps, 10, 20 feet away from you. Generally speaking, you don't have to turn around for him unless it's a bad jump and he doesn't have primal where you can turn around and pin. Your next job is as a Rhine is to actually just walk up. You mentioned your favorite tanks are Rhine, Zarya, D.Va, Sig. You actually just cut off their back two people and keep them occupied and let your team deal with the Winston. That's pretty much all you gotta do. What are some of the most useless callouts you've heard in a game from serious teammates? My duo partner and I have been playing together for years. One of the most enjoyable things we like to chuckle between one another is useless callouts that we hear over team chat from random teammates. If the callout is useless and funny, we take it a step further by imitating them in the following games just to see other people's reactions. Just wondering what are the most useless callouts you've ever heard from serious teammates. A couple of classics is Widow no Venom Mine, D.Va no Matrix, D.Va no Boosters. I mean, there is some merit to D.Va no Boosters for a 3-second window and then it's negligible. Same with D.Va no Matrix or BAP no Jump, Widow no Venom Mine. These are pretty useless ones that don't really do anything. Next question, who is supposed to stay on the payload? That's the question. Is there a specific person to stay on the payload or it doesn't matter? I'm a new player that started this April. I mostly play tank or support. Anyway, the thing, I was playing a few rounds today and some people were typing in chat, tank is so bad he won't stay in payload. And I got confused because I never really had that problem before. No one complained before. I think I'm a pretty good tank considering I'm new, but I admit I might have screwed up. Although I'm not sure. I learned to play on my own. Not sure if the tank is supposed to push, yada, yada, yada. I need to know if I've been playing tank wrong these past 5 months. Any advice is welcome. So you're saying nobody had a problem before because it's not a problem. You don't have to be on the payload 98% of the time as a tank. Tank is so bad he won't stay on the payload. That's that one person in that game who don't understand the game, and you're fine everywhere else. So generally speaking, the person on the payload depends on the context of the situation, but easy answer is anybody who's super mobile and can rejoin the fight very quickly. So in a lot of cases, it's Tracer. She's mobile, she's slippery, so people try to drop and try to go for the Tracer. She just blinks away and she's safe. If you're the tank player, like you said, there are some cases where D.Va can probably play on it, mostly because you are mobile again, and you want to be the one there on maybe Hollywood second point where there's a lot of high ground. Let your team set up on the high ground, especially if the team fight's over and you're attacking. Your Ana and everybody else needs to set up on high ground and you don't have a Tracer to push. You can be on cart because as soon as the enemy team comes out, maybe they want to go high ground to contest your team high ground, you can instantly fly up and help them. But that's the only situation I can think of just for a little bit. Generally speaking, again, the Tracer or the mobile PS, or if it's really early in the payload phase, your supports can stand on it, right? I wouldn't stand on it on Hollywood second as an Ana or Zen because you will just get jumped on and you have no escape tools there. But let's say early parts of Nimbani when you first capture and it's rounding that first corner before the green bus, you can play super far back as the Ana, play on top of the payload and shoot from there. And then again, once there's a lot of high ground, I wouldn't play on the card anymore. As the payload gets closer to the checkpoint of second part Nimbani, that's when you get off the payload as an Ana and Zen, play on the high ground and be safe up there, and then maybe let your D.Va or your Tracer play there so that the D.Va can fly up or the Tracer can blink away, etc., etc. So you've been good. If you're playing Brawl as well, you could stay on the cart as well. There's no real and right answer. It just really depends, but there's that general rule and you'll kind of figure it out as you go. You're still very new to the game. I wouldn't worry about this one person saying that because it's not necessarily wrong and it's not necessarily right either. I don't know what the rest of your team comp looks like, what their comp looks like. Don't worry about it. You're chilling. Returning Overwatch 1 player. May's current purpose? ? I played a lot of Overwatch 1, maybe 2 or 3 hours of Overwatch 2 when it first came out, so I'm sort of unfamiliar with the state of the game. I'm getting back to it now, and I'm struggling to see what May's purpose is. She doesn't seem like she's able to freeze enemies anymore, so what's the point? What is she good for? Additionally, is there any major hero changes that I should be aware of? I'm trying to play them all, but there's so many heroes I struggle to keep track of. All I know is Mercy and D.Va are fundamentally similar to how they used to be. So you're returning Overwatch 1 player, so you used to be able to primary fire, hold them, freeze, and then follow up with a headshot. Well, her role now is the same without the freeze. If you slow them enough with the primary fire does a lot more damage than it used to in Overwatch 1 without the freeze. It slows them a lot and the DPS is a lot more potent. So if they're like a D.Va holding a Matrix up, you can hold the beam, the freeze, and it'll still do a lot of damage. Your Icicle poke does more base damage than it does in Overwatch 1, and the projectile is bigger. So you sit there, poke with your Icicle. If they come close, you're still a threat even though you don't fully freeze them. And then the wall is the big thing, and May's current purpose is you play Mei into enemy brawl. By brawl, I mean like brawl tanks, like the Rhine, the Ram, the Orissas. Anybody that doesn't have any vertical mobility, if you wall off and isolate that tank, that is insane value, and Mei still has a place, a niche place in those situations. And then in the interim, during the neutral, you poke with the icicle, and if they get too close, you can cut people off with the wall and then slow them down with a lot of damage to punish their mistakes. In terms of people to keep track of, you say Mercy and D.Va are fundamentally similar. I'd say a majority of the heroes are still pretty similar to Overwatch 1. Ashe is the same. Junkrat's the same, Hanzo's the same, just a little squishier. Widow's basically the same. Like, everybody's mostly the same apart from the full reworks like Doom, Orisa, and all the new heroes and stuff. So I have nerve damage in my hands. Who do I play? Long story short, I have nerve damage, which raises issues when playing FPS. So while my aim isn't terrible, I'm horrendous at tracking. I find it very difficult to move along with quick targets, especially with small hitboxes or when enemies get up right to my face. The best way I can describe it is my hands often lock up or don't move as I want them to. I understand it may seem selfish to me to still want to play given my drawbacks and it being a team game, but I do enjoy the game and don't typically play ranked unless I'm having a good day. I've had a lot of success with Moira, please no hate, I do legit heal and often top for the matches. Healing and a little Brig. Otherwise, Rhine is another good one, an obvious one, but it seems new heroes that get added always require really good aim or tracking to have good results, like Juno's primary, and obviously I suck with heroes like Ana, Kiri, etc, etc. I like to diversify my hero pool, so I want to ask the community, who would you recommend? I play a lot of support, but I sometimes dabble into DPS and tank, so I'd like to hear what you'd recommend from each category. Thank you for reading. Much love. No, it's absolutely not selfish for you to want to play the game just because you have nerve damage. What do you mean? Video games are for everybody. Don't let anybody gatekeep you and be like, you're not allowed to play because you have nerve damage. The best part of Overwatch is that it's very accessible for a lot of players and you're just playing quick play and having a good time. You barely play ranked. Don't let other people tell you to not play. That being said, most of the non-aim intensive heroes are probably your best bet. I know a couple people with nerve damage or carpal tunnel or RSIs on their wrist and stuff, which isn't necessarily locking up, but like damage to the hands, but they still enjoy the game. If you're actually having trouble with like your wrist and stuff, I'm not sure how your dexterity is with your thumb, but if you're just casually playing, genuinely don't even feel bad about plugging in a controller to your PC and just play on a controller if that's more comfortable. At the end of the day, you're here to have fun. If it's more comfortable to play with your thumbs and your wrist, do that first. Now for hero recommendations, you listed some of the obvious ones. For tank, Rhine's great. Winston can be pretty great. Primal will be a little tough, but like fundamentally, Winston doesn't require too much mechanical stuff apart from Primal Rage. Winston, Rhine. Even Roadhog isn't even that bad. You just kind of poke there and kind of keep your crosshair in front of you. There will be times you at the high levels where you get the 180 snap and go for the hooks, but generally speaking, if you just kind of play your positions and keep your crosshair steady in front of you, you should be able to get away with Roadhog just fine. For the damage heroes, probably Bastion. Torbjorn's a free one because all you do is put down a turret, keep your crosshair at a choke point, and just spam Cheetos down the line. And then for supports, Moira's already great, like you said, Brig, Mercy, anything without too much mechanical aim. That might be it. Yeah, heroes like Juno, Ana, Kiri, probably not for you, and that's okay. See if any of those are enjoyable and work from there. Next question, has the dive meta affected you at all? Content creators like Flats are saying dive is super good right now and noticing how many games in Diamond I'm playing against dive. I don't know how much of that because it's really good and how much of it because this bracket is tryhards and just do whatever content creators say is good. But it seems like it's way too early for people to have figured that out for themselves that you should pick dive every game. Actually, no, it's not even just what content creators say. I think in Diamond, you're already pretty high up there. They could figure it out without anybody telling you otherwise that Winston and D.Va are your best two tanks, which basically means you're playing dive because the tanks determine the archetype of the style that you're going to play. If you play Sigma, you're playing Poke. If you play Rhine, you're playing Brawl. If you play Winston, D.Va, Ball, Doomfist, you're playing dive very good. Either way, I found it interesting that the ratio which I play the heroes in my DPS pool is totally shuffled. I historically played Soldier 76, which I felt the season is too hard to work against dive. Correct. You spend the whole game being chased by Winston or have defense matrix held in your face. Correct. Now I'm starting Junkrat most games and just barrel stuffing Winston's dive, and it's working out. Also probably helps that the combo can kill a lot of dive heroes, and I'm happy because I love Junkrat. I'm playing more Sombra to help my teams dive. Anybody else seeing a change in their go-to comps? Junkrat not too good against D.Va, I will say, but it's serviceable against Winston to create that separation with the mines. Right, so not a terrible choice in that capacity. And playing Sombra to help your dive is good. But yes, there is a big shift when you play dive. It was a very Baptiste-oriented meta last season. But now, like with dive, lots of Ana to help complement the D.Va and the Winston. Lots of Brig to babysit the Ana. And Kiriko is always a safe option to avoid getting dove if you're always dying and you don't have that Brig protector. And Juno. Juno's been buffed a lot since the beginning of Season 12. And Juno D.Va, has been absolutely tearing apart the high ranks. When you speed ring the D.Va, she gets to close the gap on you so fast. She's like a race car. Watch these, if you aren't, Overwatch Twitter at all, you see any of the high rank tweets there, everyone's bitching about the Juno D.Va right now. A lot of Juno players have hit champion. Juno is not bad anymore at all. She was maybe at the beginning of season 12, but I would argue she's high A tier right now. She keeps going up and up, and especially since another hotfix patch, September 3rd, 2024, her fire rate's back to what it was in the playtest. Low key, A tier, one of your best supports right now to pair with D.Va for sure. Let the D.Va close the gap and instantly burst you down with the micro missile, with the melee, and she has enough time to turn around and fly away because of that crazy speed that she gets with the speed ring. Still very good with Brawl if you do plan on playing Brawl. Brawl with Ramattra is very strong because Ramatra's armor is bugged right now. I kind of, diverted attention with Dive, but yes, it has affected my hero pool. I just play Ana, Juno, and the occasional Kiriko. Why pick Cassidy over Ashe? I've been playing and trying out hitscan the past couple of games. As I started playing ranked towards the end of last season, I noticed I'm not only much better with Ashe, but it seems like just a higher skill ceiling and or higher potential hero. While I only played about 7 minutes of Cass, even when watching other people play the game, like streamers, teammates, it genuinely seems like Ashe is just a better pick. I thought most of the reason for going hitscan is to not have to worry about slow firing projectiles at long range like Torb, but Cassidy's range is not good like at all. I feel like Ashe has better escape or movement abilities, better long range to kill annoying Pharahs, better throwables, better ult. Only feel like that Cass has that Ashe doesn't is his high DPS alt fire for tank shredding or whatever people use it for. I don't really know. Am I missing something? I'm not missing something. Ashe has a longer distance on the coach gun compared to the combat role. She does have better long range ability to kill at longer ranges, but that's the whole point. They don't want to homogenize all the hit scans. Each hit scan has to have like their niche, right? Ashe is the medium to long range kill. Cass is a lot tankier, he has a lot more HP, and he's a lot better at close range because his fall off tapers off a lot closer compared to Ashe. So he's there to help deter people that get in close to him. Cass does pretty well against Dive, especially Doomfist Ball, which unfortunately aren't too meta because it's a Winston D.Va meta. So Cass is serviceable against Winston, not as great against D.Va, but pretty decent against Winston in terms of popping the bubble with the alt fire, like you said. But that's the whole point, right? Cass is your close range hit scan duelist, and Ashe is your medium to long range. If Ashe is not contested by the D.Va or Winston, you will pop off a lot more. And Cass is a lot more situational now since they nerfed it, and they really want to niche his role so he isn't just a generalist hit scan like he was a few seasons ago, where he could be played medium, long range, and close range. That's a little too good when you can do it all as a hit scan. All right, is it more effective to compare DPS by damage or kills? Last question of the week. I recently had a round where I had over 9k damage, but only 16 to 17 kills. Some of my teammates had less damage, but more kills. I understand that snipers have the more kills, less damage ratio because of one-shots. I play mostly D.Va, Pharah, Junk, and Echo. Do I have a skill issue because I get less kills, or does it just depend on the situation? It just depends on the situation. Kills are in this game are just if you tag anybody with a sliver of damage, you'll get a kill or an elimination, so it's not really good. And unfortunately, final blows, which is the stuff that confirmed the kill, isn't actually shown on the public scoreboard, only for you individually. So I would never look at the context of the scoreboard and see damage and kills because it really just depends. An indicator could be if you have really high damage that you're spamming the tank a little bit too much, but that could not even be like a bad choice because it could work in some cases where you force the tank to take cover. But like it's much better to compare DPSs by their role and like what they're doing in that game. Are they controlling space? Are they standing in an area that's holding an angle that prevents their DPS from going somewhere, and you're like looking for small pickings on the side, right? It's really hard to judge based on just this. It's more about the context of the entire situation, what tanks they're running, what angles, if they have flankers. Like if you're holding the right room by the Mega on New Queen Street, it stops their tracer from blinking in there. Like that's already like indirectly doing things without ever it showing on the scoreboard. And maybe that angle isn't great for necessarily farming damage. You're kind of just poking their backline a bit and making them run a little bit. Like it's hard to read, but yeah, don't judge by the scoreboard in any case. It's not very effective. No skill issue here. All right, and that's it for this week's Reddit questions. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.